Welcome back to another episode of the Phoenix Truth Rising Show. This is the Spaceman 2.0. We're here to point out the truth so you can grow into the knowledge and the wisdom of understanding what's taking place in this world today. And then you can maybe make preparations and spiritual understandings to help you overcome the problems that we're facing in today's world. So with that being said, these journals were put here for this time. They were scribed about 30 years ago, 20 years ago. It's amazing what's on this planet to give us the truth. And it's all being kept from us and hidden from us as well, in plain sight as well. So with that being said, we're going to continue on with part 11 from Here to Armageddon, chapter 6. So continuing off from chapter 6, Tuesday, September 5th, 1989, this was put forth, Ashtar present, ready to resume. Thank you. You should be acquainted with my energy field, Dharma, to the extent you will recognize me anywhere. Work at that, Chella, for there will be times, little one, that we have not time for more than pronunciation of a thought pattern. Control is in the hands of evil. You ones do not wish to have more on evil or good, or, no, until you recognize and we see you blunder constantly. You will not be given further advancement. I do not talk of discernment and judgment. I speak of your very ability to stay physically alive. Unfortunately, your world now runs on evil. Evil power control and public enslavement to their whims. There are many, many ways to produce slavery, friends. You want free energy? When do we just get on with the free energy? You have free energy? You have the secrets? Why do you think you are in such trouble? The slaves don't have the free energy of primitive format that the enslavers hold. But nonetheless, it is around for the use of the big boys. Open your eyes. Well, what about the drug wars in Colombia? What about them, I ask you? You have had days to ponder that since Hatan gave you 2 journals on the subject of control. Stop and ponder a moment. Why do you think? Yes, of course, the drug lords are overstepping their bounds. Further, there is so much money at stake that it must be confined, lest they drug half of the cartels, bury the simple money cartel. It is all a gigantic effort to bring the mavericks under control. Why do you think a major drug lord would give world petition to the U.S. to stop using his product? Why do you think the U.S. has moved in military equipment? Of course, we knew that you knew. Bargain with one big lord against another. Work out business contracts and snuff out the opposition. Go home, tell the people all is well. Drug war under surrender and other lies have top echelon stupidity, and the public eats it up like candy. Meanwhile, you have had the major distraction while all else nasty goes on, and you have now worked out the most favorable of all arrangements for the open production of qualified drugs. Oh, it will be hidden in the disguise of subsidies to the farmers, etc. Do not raise drug-producing plants, or let them grow them. The government will purchase and destroy. The latter is the way it will go anyway. I do mean your government, however, not Colombia's or another's. You will pay for it, to be handled most legally. You see, you have to bring the top-level crime heads in on the plan, under offer to rid them of competition. They just take on a bigger, nastier partner with no competition. Make a big example and splash in the press, and life goes on in a stepped-up manner. The bankers and us, your puppet governors, can go right on in the comfort and realization that the funds will funnel right back into the hands, be labeled in purity, and then they have made more coup against you ever digging out of your mess. The next fraud. Further, they are getting ready to project the following type of fraud upon you. You will finally come out with, to get the AIDS and drug problems under control, Mr. America, we will control these drugs we are paying for and take dealers off the street. We will become the dealers, give drugs out in measured amounts for a great cost reduction or free to those who really want to clean up their act. Give the users new and separate needles, contaminated with selected contaminants such as the AIDS virus. Set up rehab programs whereby the rehabbies are wiped away one way or another. Then they will announce it didn't work. But look how hard we tried, and see how much of your money we spent on it. The new drug pin in Washington will be denounced. He would be prepared for that denounced, but far richer for the experience. And you are farther in the pits. Oh, it will just sort of die like everything else in the press. Whatever happened to old what's-his-name, I wonder. It will not die, however, until they have all your public's defensive gear turned over and you cannot rise up against the real culprits. Crime will continue to sweep your lands like you cannot conceive, and you will have the new and controlled total chaos. For now you will have just ensured that crime will run rampant. There will be less money available. You will be in depression, prearranged, and you will also be in handcuffs. You will have more addicts creating all types of crime to garner funds for their habits, and it will not be available. Oh yes, you have it all set up for the destruction of your world. Meanwhile, the masters go right on planning annihilation, yours, while they finish off their escape routes and safety havens. Interesting, all the big wigs are building underground bunkers. Further, meanwhile, all of you sit and look at the big hoopla and wonder, what in the world are they doing now? They perform their dismemberment of you ones right before your eyes, somehow deaden your senses, and have you pleading for more. Take your money, take your guns, take control our. There should be a law, and yes, we will vote that one in. So be it. You are running on empty, beloved ones of earth, on the very dregs and fumes. The only way to fight it is to not fight it. Fit in and allow yourselves the non-attention that they think what they give to help you build your little old businesses, which they think they will garner anyway, in doing just that. You see, brothers, it doesn't matter in the end. The house of cards will fall. Then you are in real trouble, and at some point along here, they overstep their cosmic bounds and the world comes down. Then we will have our base operators and basic installations begun, and of course, you will live happily ever after, a perceived eternity, however, after. Oh, you thought Ashtar got off the old subject of evil? Oh, no, he didn't. That above is the ultimate in evil. Now, as to free energy, etc., do you think that by the time the big evil players get through dumping on ones like Pons Fleischmann discounting Nikola Tesla again, and there will be quite a few brethren looking for a home in quiet laboratory, sans new press entertainment, to do their work. They didn't understand about security. They only understood being the first ones there, with their names in the media, and do all this good for the masses. I request herein that every copy in the hands of any of you on your realm newsletter be copied and given into Dharma's hands. A lot of work has already been accomplished. Paul will have the resource stashed. Oh, thank you. You have been advanced a grade. Yes, brothers, you have felt a change or integration of command. It is not exactly like that. It is that you are far enough along in your training and in the world situation. I am going to be predominantly stationed within your sector, vortex actually. I honor and salute all of you ones in both this realm and yours for a job superbly well done. I am no greater than any other who has spoken with you or given instructions. It is that my duty has kept me elsewhere through your training, and I serve as, what would you say, the Master Jesus Sananda's commandant. Now a nasty poke at Dharma. I actually witnessed her watching an evangelical program last night where he asked those in the audience, do you really know Jesus? Do you even know if you know Jesus? Does he light up your heart so that you have a pounding constantly of his presence? If you aren't sure, raise up your hand. Little Turkey raised her hand. 25 wet noodles blast to you, Dharma. If all you do is stay on your knees, the world can never get up off its knees. I think I will embolden that. If all you do is stay on your knees, the world can never get up off its knees. So be it, and Salah. Amen and ahoy. Just because that one laid a heavy trip on you about Simon Peter, get off it, Dharma. As a matter of fact, Peter did not deny Christ, Jesus, Emmanuel. He was terrified for his own life substance. There is a major difference. Every time a so-called church argues over doctrine of man input it as an entire group, he is denying Christ. And brothers, it is more than any 3 times in one day. Paul did not intentionally deny Christ or relay nasty lies on purpose. Do you not see it had to be thusly done? And now you must come into the acceptance of angels from the heavens, which we most surely are, my dear friends. How dark brothers work. Oh, dear ones, even the above paragraph shows you how subtle your dark brothers really are. How better to shut down Dharma than to allow her to believe that perhaps she does not really believe. If truth can be stopped before it breathes in the light of day, darkness is assured. Let us work for a stillborn, the dark ones will cry. No little sparrow you will write, and write, and write until it is finished. You are simply unaware of the traps that the darker forces lay for the unwary, constantly, at every moment of your existence, every moment. The temptations of the Dark Brothers, as they are called, can be very subtle, so subtle that even those on the path will never realize it and be led away from their task, led astray if certainly weakened in their resolve. I am going to lay out in plain language the means by which the forces of darkness attempt to draw human souls into the downward spiral. I insist you read it carefully, along with all information projected by other entities in this document. You must know your enemy. In short, you must know the powers that oppose man's spiritual progress, for the forces will always strike through your humanness. Do not be mistaken into believing the Dark Brotherhood just hang around waiting to gain your soul and toss you off into some perceived hell. Nay, they are not that stupid. Rather, they, you might say, act as a testing agents for the race of man. Forces whose task it is to weed out from among the human flock those who are not developed enough to allow them to move forward into the higher ground of spiritual achievement. Now don't go forth and misunderstand the statement, for I am not finished, and you read on, please. There are too many of you who have half read, half project, misinterpret, usually for others also, and glance at a thing and toss it aside as not for me, or ill written, or any number of other cop-out excuses. It is for you. The Dark Brotherhood brothers know, how about DBBs, know that many souls would not be taken into by their seductions, that many individuals can perceive clearly whenever attempts are made to draw them away from the light. But they also know that the multitudes of incarnated individuals on Earth plane have allowed the attractions of pleasure and materialism, addictions, and tunnel vision to sway them. They know that worry, self-pity, hatred, resentment, grief, and judgment cloud every living entity with ability to reason, to be clouded in perception. They further know that even the most devoted worker will have self-doubts and therefore must be attacked in like manner. So the victim does not note the attack. Usually the DBBs won't waste time on the firm believers who remain firm in the truth. But for you ones who can do them in, you are under constant fusillade. I mean constant, even in your sleep, if you do not call for our protection in your absence of control of self. So with that being said, we're going to continue on the next part 12, with the real origins of the species, and finish off chapter 6. This is the Spaceman 2.0 with the Phoenix Truth Rising show. May you wake up and grow. And if you have to listen to this show a couple times to get this information in,